You're now sitting at the Wavetable.
Welcome everyone to episode 7 of the Wavetable. I'm here with Vital Mode, a local bass music producer, and you do like complextro and glitchy stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, it's color basses, most people like to call it, but primarily it's like melodic dubstep, complextro, bit of drum and bass and drum step every now and then, and yeah, it's mostly those genres.
I love those artists that combine like a lot of different genres of bass music, and like they have some really heavy stuff, but also just some colorful stuff, as you put it in there. It's a nice variety.
Yeah, it is. It's good to like not be just restrained to like one BPM, where like a lot of like rhythm producers just stuck with like between 140 and 150 BPM.
Yeah.
Where, you know, a lot of color-based artists can really dwell on what BPMs they want to do, whether it be, you know, 128, which is very rare these days, but most people are in between like the 140, 150 BPM and 174 range when it comes to color bass. But yeah, it's fun to do all those different tempos, especially when, you know, you're creatively blocked with a certain BPM and you just want to experiment. So it's really good for that type of stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of demoralizing to open up Ableton and see 150 every single time, and it's like, not another one. I've been experimenting with 170 a bit in my dubstep stuff, and it's been pretty fun.
Yeah, I definitely want to do some more drum and bass. I haven't done a drum and bass track since I think April, so it's been a while.
I'm not really doing drum and bass, just like really fast dubstep stuff, but I've got a drum and bass track in the works that I've been working on for like, feels like a year now. It might actually be. But one day. Yeah,
I totally get you.
So I wanted to start off by talking about your latest release. So tell me what the story is behind your track Venator and its release on Rushdown Records.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting story. I literally started it a month ago, that track. I think it was around the 7th of June, around that time. And it was done within about 2 weeks. It was very quick, actually, creating the little idea until it became a complete track. And then it was done, and I left it for like 2 days. Like, all right, I'll come back to it and do the mixing and mastering, just so I could get some feedback on it. And then once I got the feedback on it from a few people like Ace Aura, Modus, and a few of the Melbourne guys, such as Scribe and Dreer, I was like, all right, ready to finish this off. So I opened it up, and some of the sounds, for some reason, like were corrupted. Like mostly sounds with like bit crush on it because of Serum's bit reduction, because I was using that. And just for some reason, it was just all distorting all the sounds, and I was really confused, and it really disappointed me because I thought the track was done. So I had to spend like a whole day fixing the sounds with a different bit crusher, just so I could get the sounds to be normal. So it was a really hard process, and I was just really down about it, and I was not happy with it at all. But I got it to a point where I was like, okay, this sounds good. It's done. I mastered it. And I was like, right, I don't know if I want to release this as like by myself, or if I want to send it to a label. And I was thinking about it for a few days, and I thought, you know what? I'll just send it to a label. You know, I don't care. Just do it. You know, what have I got to lose?
Exactly.
So I sent it to Rushdown because they were at the top of my list. So I was like, all right, I'll send it to Rushdown, see what they think. And then I was talking to a few friends. One of my friends was like, I don't know, because it's complextro. Not many people release complextro these days, so I don't know if they'll accept it or not. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just find out. And then a few days later, I got the reply saying it was accepted, and I was just, you know, amazed because I didn't think it was going to get accepted at all. And really, in a short amount of time as well, Chime's like, I hope you don't mind, but we really want to put this out like next week on our new compilation. And I'm like, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, good. That's great. So yeah, that was a really, really quick process from being made to then being released. It was crazy. I don't think I've ever had an experience like that before. Usually with releases, you got to wait like a couple of months before the track's released. Even with like my self releases, I'll wait about a month until I release the track just to be so I'm like okay with how the track is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a very strange process, and it's still mind-boggling that it got accepted and it's out there now. And it's doing so well.
Amazing.
Dude, it was like I woke up and I saw Chime followed me on Twitter. I'm like, what?
Oh shit!
Why'd he follow me on Twitter? And then I checked my Discord DMs, and he said that he accepted. I'm like, what? So it was a very, very interesting experience.
Dude, I can't get over that. Like, that's just so quick. I think, like you said, just even when I self-release tunes, it often takes like a month or two after actually finishing it to get it out. I want to go back to getting feedback because I noticed you chucked Asora in there, and I wanted to find out how you got feedback from him.
So I'm part of a Facebook group called Defyre Society.
Hell yeah.
And he's one of the regulars there who does feedback streams. And I actually found that out by accident because Chime was doing a live stream on there. He was breaking down 2 of his tracks on there, and I just wanted to watch that live stream. So then I joined there, and then I saw that they do these feedbacks every week, like every day. They have like quite big artists each week or each day give feedback, and one of them was Asora, and I was like, oh, cool. This will be a nice opportunity to get some feedback from like a bigger producer and not just my friends. So I sent him my track Metastasis, which had been out for about a few weeks by that point. And he was amazed with it. Like he like reposted it and was like, oh dude, this is sick. He hadn't heard Complextro in ages. And he's like, dude, this is so cool. And then from the repost, it actually got quite a bit of traction just from that repost, which was amazing. And then a few days later, I sent him Venator just before I did all the last minute touches. And that's another thing he said was really good. So, yeah, it's been really cool to get feedback from him.
So there you go. Don't feel like it's bad to pay for feedback from bigger artists, guys. Like, it'll not only help you improve your tracks, but you might just get noticed by some of them like you did.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it's really refreshing that you incorporate like some chiptune type sounds into your music. I was wondering if you want to delve into how you get those, like synths or hardware, or yeah,
it's very basic. It's just like square waves, and I mostly just use Serum for all those sounds, just like the basic shapes. So if you want to do that kind of chiptune sound, it is very easy. Like, people have been doing it for years, whether they're using Serum or Massive or Faceplant now, maybe. But yeah, it is a very easy sound to get, but it's a matter of how you implement that into your style. It has become quite a major part of my sound. But I think I have adopted more of the glitchy side of chiptune,
definitely,
to create my signature sound. Where, I don't know, people like Nitrofun, they have more of like a happier side to his sound. Who's another chip, like Virtual Riot, even back in the day. Yeah, his stuff was very like, I don't know how to describe that old sound, but you know, he had that sound. So like I said, to create the chiptune sound, you don't have to get Game Boys and plug them into your door or whatever. Just get Serum, or like even like the basic stuff, maybe like FL, Ableton. They have those, you know, those simple waveforms where you can create those sounds. Even like a simple bit crusher, which I guess like every single DAW has a simple bit crusher. I'm not a big fan of Ableton's, but even like third-party ones like the Kilohertz bit crusher, which I'm a big fan of.
Was great.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get a bit crusher, and then I'm not really big into the chiptune stuff, but I find that having just a LFO going up and down octaves really helps.
Yeah, that is that's something that Virtual Riot does, like with his old stuff. He doesn't do it much these days. But with like that lead that he always used to use, always had that like that changing octave sound with his leads.
It's almost like a voice crack.
Yeah. It almost is, yeah.
Yeah, so I also love the incorporation of the kind of psytrance style bass in Venator. Like, I feel like a lot of people are doing that right now, and sometimes it feels forced. But in your track, it felt really natural and just added to the overall aesthetic of like the whole color-based sound.
Yeah, definitely.
So how did you get started with producing, and like what were some of your early influences?
So I started producing back in early 2014. I just started messing around on GarageBand with my good friend Waru. Shout out to him. He's been, there since the beginning by my side, producing with me. We just started putting together loops. Eventually, then he got his MIDI keyboard and plugged it in. We started writing our own melodies. And then eventually, towards the later half of that year, he then changed to Logic, which then I did. And we just started making really, looking back now, they were really bad tracks, but it was a start. We actually earlier this year looked back at a lot of our old stuff, and we just had a cringe fest listening to all our stuff and just laughing. But yeah, that's how I started. And then eventually throughout the years, I think around 2015, between 2015 and 2017, I really spent those 3 years really trying to find what I wanted to make. So I tried and just made everything from trap to future bass to dubstep to complextro to house music, drum and bass, everything I could think of to see what I enjoyed making. And it just happened to be those bass music, color bass genres, which I had the most fun with. And that's what I stuck with from like late 2017 onwards, and really developed my sound from there. And I think it was really not until about late last year where I really found the vital mode sound, which is really that glitchy type of sound you hear in all my recent tracks.
It's definitely a really distinct sound, and it's a fresh take on the complextro stuff. And I'm glad that you're doing it, because we don't have enough of that stuff around anymore.
Yeah, it sucks that not many people doing it, but I mean, even just recently, a big Rushdown artist known as Paper Skies just released a little whip of a complextro track that he's just started making, very reminiscent of old Virtual Riot.
Nice.
And I was like, dude, I'm so happy that you're making complextro. More people need to be making it. We need to make a comeback with complextro.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't experiment as much as you did when trying to find what genre. They might kind of try a few things and then just give up on producing. I just want to say to the producers out there, if you don't really know what your sound is, you kind of feel like you've put yourself in a box and you just feel like you're stuck there. Please like try everything, because if you hadn't tried everything, maybe you just would have quit and that would have been that.
Yeah.
So how did you normally go about starting a track? Is it like the melodies, the drums, or...
I mean, back when I started a couple of years ago, I just started with melodies and chord progressions. I felt that was the easiest back then when I started, especially when I was experimenting with different genres. But now it's more, I start with a drop, and I find that's the most easiest way for me to create ideas, is just by creating a drop, sticking with that idea, creating the second drop, and then doing the rest of the track. And I feel that that's the best way for me personally to make my tracks. It's helped me to really get tracks done faster, where, I have the drop done, and then it's easy for me to go and do all the other parts, like the melodies and the build-ups and all that. Where if I personally do vice versa, where if I do the melodies first, and then I have to do a drop, the drop kind of feels a little less, it doesn't feel as powerful as I'd want it to, where if I do tracks where I have done drops first, then it does feel powerful when I later go do everything else, if you know what I mean by that.
Yeah. I know people definitely have different takes, and it's mostly personal preference, but I totally agree with you. Like, when I do the drops first, all the other pieces kind of just fall into place. Whereas if I start with, say, the intro first, it feels like I'm forcing myself to make a drop that somehow matches the intro.
Yeah.
Are there any specific, techniques that you reuse on all your tracks? I guess the chiptune kind of influence would be one of them. Is there anything else you'd like to elaborate on?
Yeah, I think a lot of producers can use this feedback, or not feedback, but this what I'm about to say is make a sample pack of your own personal sample pack, and then reuse those sounds, because that is how I have found my sound, by reusing pad sounds, arps, drums, and all these different bass sounds, which I made in like tracks, I don't know, last year, and then have kept on reusing. And that's how you make your signature sound, by using those sounds. People like Chime do it all the time, where people complain, go, "Oh, everything sounds the same." No, that's his sound. Yeah. Another artist I can think of that's like that is Famous Spear, another Rushdown artist. His stuff always sounds, very similar. That's because he's always using the same sounds, and that is his definitive sound. So I encourage all different producers, whether you're doing bass music or hip hop, whatever it may be, get a sample pack of sounds that you've made, and then keep on reusing them, because that is how you find your signature sound.
Yeah. When I think back to like artists like who first got me into EDM, like Skrillex and Knife Party, Pendulum, those kinds of guys, it's pretty much the same thing. They always use very, very similar sounds. And the really cool thing about that is sometimes you might want to switch it up and do a bit of a different genre or a different tempo. But if you're using the sounds from your personal sample library, no matter what genre it is, people know it's you because it's your sounds.
I can definitely agree with that. I mean, at the moment, I'm just about to finish up a glitch hop track. Usually I don't do that usual, that 100 BPM, 110 BPM tempo. But I used a lot of sounds that I've used in previous tracks, such as Venator and Metastasis and tracks like that. I've used a lot of similar sounds from my personal sample pack. So you can tell that it's the same style, but it's just, different tempo, different genre, but you can tell that it's me.
Yeah. So being a fellow Melbourne boy, you've studied at Box Hill Institute of Music. How did that change your workflow and your process with music in general?
Yeah, well, there's an elective they run there called Beat Cypher. And basically what that class is, throughout the semester, so you got 12, 13 weeks for the semester, each week the teacher gives you like a challenge. So, 1 week it might be, all right, make a track using this loop of like a melody, this drum sample, and this atmosphere. Just make whatever. And then the next week after, you submit the track that you made with those samples. And then you go through the class listening to everyone's take on those samples in like a 2-minute 30 track. And then everyone gives you feedback on it, whether it be positive or constructive feedback, which is really good. And each week you get more challenges. Like the next week it might be you have to make a track at this BPM in this certain key. And then, even more other stuff like, make a track only using percussion or something like that. And what that class did for me for both semesters, so semester 1, semester 2, both halves of the year, it really helped me to develop ideas fast. Because I had a week to make a track every week for 12 weeks, 13 weeks, whatever it was, it really helped me to develop ideas fast. So I'd create drops or melodies really fast and just stick with it because I knew that I had a deadline and that I had to get it done so I could submit it the next week. So that really helped me for this year with a lot of my tracks.
That kind of reminds me of the Andrew Huang producer challenges, where it has 4 people do the same thing. Yeah,
it's very much like that. In one class, actually, before our teacher came, me and my friends were watching that series. I think it was the AU5 one, maybe. The one with AU5, and we're watching that, and we're like, "Oh yeah, this is like almost exactly like Beat Cypher, where they listen to each other's tracks because we, in the class we listen to everyone's tracks on the speakers, and yeah, it's pretty much just like that."
Did you see the one that Virtual Riot was on? Just taking like a simple piano sound.
Yeah, that's a classic one. I don't know how he did it. I don't know. It's even with AU5, like he got a sound of a door, like a squeaky door, and then made a track completely out of that. Like with Virtual Riot, it was amazing because it was a piano, so he was able to like, you know, tune the piano and make sure everything was like right.
Instrument, yeah.
Yeah, but with AU5, he had a door to work with. In even the drums, he used the door, which just amazed me. So, like, if that was me, I wouldn't have sampled the door to make drums, but he did, and that just amazed me.
AU5 is on another level, man.
He is.
So how did you go about creating your Articulation EP series? And, tell me about that.
Yeah, well, that really connects to the Beat Cypher class because that class only runs for a year. So I'm in my second year at the moment. So unfortunately, that elective only runs for a year. So at the end of the year last year, and like towards the end of November, beginning December, I was thinking, you know, what am I going to do for next year? I thought, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set myself 4 release dates throughout the year. So I chose February, May, August, and November. So there's 3 months in between each release. And every 3 months, I release 2 tracks, like just self-release them. And that sort of filled the gap for me from Beat Cypher. And I was able to apply a lot of the things I learned in Beat Cypher by working to a deadline and sticking to it and getting the tracks done. And because of that, I've stuck to it. I'm about to release the 3rd one in about a month, I think.
Hell yeah.
It's July now, so the next one comes out in August. And then the final one, the 4th one, will be out in November. I've been able to make the tracks between releases and stick to it. And it's really helped me just not only get tracks out, but just improve on my sound. Hence the name Articulation. It really is about me defining my clear sound, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And there's definitely something to be said for, what am I saying? There's definitely something to be said for setting deadlines for yourself, because if you don't have a deadline, you're just going to sit there endlessly tweaking and the track is never going to come out. And, you know, those opportunities that you might have had for the track, they're going to pass you up because you're going to be stuck working on that and another million unfinished projects. So just set deadlines and, you know, you might not think it's 100% done, but most of the time, 80% done is good enough for the general listener. So just get that shit out there.
Yeah, like a few years ago, I wasn't setting deadlines for myself. I would be, like last year even, like there was a track I made where, you know, I didn't set the deadline. I just left it, and a few months later, I forgot about it, and the track, you know, I didn't even like it anymore. So, you know, setting deadlines is so good because, and if you have the dedication and the self-discipline to set deadlines and stick to it, I highly recommend you to do it.
Even if you don't think you have the discipline and dedication, just give it a shot.
Just do it.
Trust me.
Exactly.
So, man, I'm so pissed about this second wave of COVID that we seem to be having, because after these first few podcasts, I've been really looking forward to getting out into the Melbourne-based music scene and seeing some of you guys play. But yeah, it looks like we're going to be stuck inside for a little while longer.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be a while until the Melbourne fam can really come back together. Yeah. I think the last show I went to was when Modestep played. I think that was at the very end of January.
Yeah, that was a while.
And that was the last show I went to. I think there was a Mothership show after that, but I wasn't able to go to that. But I think that was the last one officially, and then there were no more shows since. So hopefully we can get over this second wave soon, and hopefully by, I don't know, December, January, we can, you know, get back out there and get back to playing shows.
Who are some of the local boys you're looking forward to seeing again?
All of them, man. Like, I'm friends with all of those guys, man. We're like so close. Like, you know, Scribe, Dreer, Space Prince, Into Ash, Mansa, Manifex, all of those guys. I'm sorry if I forgot any names, but I love you guys. You guys are like, you guys are my best friends. And I just can't wait until we can all hang out again. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. I'll be there. Like, let me know when the first show is going to be. I'll be there.
Definitely, yeah. Love to have you part of us, man.
Hell yeah, man. It'd be dope. Yeah, just want to get out into the community and, just interact with fellow music guys.
It's really good to have, your local friends, local producer friends, because not only are you talking to each other as fellow producers, but we've become such close friends that we're also talking as close friends.
Yeah.
And the relationships our friendships, have become so strong because of that and all the times we've hung out with each other, that it's really good to have that community. And, if you don't have that, just try and find an online community. Even though we're in lockdown, even though, the whole world is at home at the moment, if you're a producer and you just, don't have anyone to talk to, just find a community, find a Discord group of producers. Your favorite producer may very well have a Discord server, and then you can just start talking to the people in there, and the producers, go into the self-promo channels and look at all the other different producers and see what they're making, and, just start talking to them about production.
Yeah, and just like jump in voice chat and just be in general and be like, hey, anyone want to jump in voice chat? Maybe play some games or something.
Exactly,
to help take it away from just the music for a second, because I find if it's always just music, it's really hard to develop those relationships, because it's kind of like you're always trying to extract information from someone or learn how they do their thing or whatever. So just try to hang out with other producers in general, and not even just producers, people who like the music as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, is there anything else that helps you stay motivated for producing? Like, obviously having a decent group of friends is a huge one. Yeah. Do you want to elaborate on anything else?
Yeah. Well, one of the main things is just take breaks. Everyone has writer's block. Everyone goes through creative struggles. Like at the moment, Virtual Riot, he's going through creative blocks at the moment. And, if you're going through that, don't force yourself to make stuff. If you, just do something else. You can just leave it for a day or two. I literally just did it last week, where I left producing for about a week or two. Not a week, a day or two, sorry. It was like Monday and Tuesday, I didn't do any production. But then Wednesday, I came back and I just had all, this newfound enthusiasm to work on new stuff and the stuff I was stuck on the days prior. So just take breaks, do other stuff. I don't know, watch movies, play video games, talk to friends, do whatever hobbies you have interest you. For me, I like drawing a lot. It helps me, in just listening to some other music, just takes my mind off things. And just, talk to friends that you don't usually talk to, just do other things that aren't music related, and I'm sure in like a few days, your motivation, your creativity will just come back to you.
Oh yeah, I can't count the amount of times I've taken a small break and gone back into Ableton and been like, holy shit, I'm fucking amazing.
Yeah, I've had so many times like that. It's really good. Just, simple breaks. Watch a movie or something, a 2 hour, 3 hour movie, and then come back maybe, and then just see what happens. Yeah.
So, if you had to go back in time and think of one piece of advice to tell yourself, and I think this is going to be our final question here, but feel free to give any shout outs or anything, or
definitely
anything else you want to say. But yeah, if there was one piece of advice that you wanted to tell yourself when you first started out, what would it be?
Sidechaining. It took me so long. I kid you not. It took me so long to learn how to sidechain. I think it was not until early 2018 was when I finally learned how to sidechain. That was 2 years ago now. Like, dude, I spent 2015, 16, 17 not knowing how to sidechain, not knowing what the hell it was. I wish I could just go back and tell myself, dude, it's just volume reduction.
Yeah.
Like, just automate the channels so that kick and snare can come through punchy. Like, it's not that hard. Like, as beginner producers, you're like, what the hell is sidechaining? Like, I heard it all the time. Like, sidechain this, sidechain that. Like, what the hell is sidechaining? It took me forever. So, if you're a beginner producer, all it is just volume reduction. If you don't have LFO tool or volume shaper, just automate the channels just so the kick and snare can come through. It's simple as that. I don't know why some producers make it out to be so such a complicated craft.
Yeah.
It's a very simple thing.
You know what's funny is I've been through just about every single possible sidechaining method, and at the end of the day, I went back to just simple default Ableton compressor. Like,
if that's what works for you. Yeah, I just use LFO tool and just MIDI trigger it. It's simple as that. It's very easy. If you're a beginner producer, it's all you need.
Literally, like, if you don't have LFO tool, like you said, just go into, I don't know, chuck a utility on there and automate the volume.
Just automate it. Exactly, yeah. I wish I knew that. I would have been able to make so many of my older tracks sound better. But, it's what it is.
It's crazy. All right. So, yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we finish up here?
I'll shout out a few of my friends. Like I said, I just shouted out all the Melbourne boys. I'll shout out a few other guys that aren't Australia-based. Good friend Naya, he's another melodic dubstep producer. He just released a track called Encrypted. Go listen to that. It's a great tune. Another Complextro artist that I'm good friends with, Retrograde. He makes amazing Complextro, very similar to some of the stuff I make, so go listen to his stuff. Like I said before, my friend Waru, we've been friends since we were little kids. He's a good up-and-coming producer. So, yeah, listen to his stuff. And, yeah, go listen to Venator out now on Rushdown and the rest of New Colors Volume 1. It's a really good compilation of some really good up-and-coming producers.
Hell yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll have a link in the description for that. And I just want to go back to the GarageBand thing you said earlier. I just remembered my first, like, quote-unquote EDM track was literally just me blowing through a straw. And I just, like, sampled that and chopped it up. And it sounded like abusing the hell out of a reverb filter in Zero.
I mean, that's a lot more interesting than what I was doing. I was just getting Apple loops and saying, hey, I made this. No, I didn't. They were just Apple loops, dude. Like, come on.
All right. Well, it was great talking to you, man. Yeah, check out Venator by Vital Mode on Rushdown Records. And yeah, link in description.